Hi guys. So, the Givers secured a flawless victory in their copyright battle against Attrakt for 50/50's smash hit song Cupid. Let's discuss this, but obligatory disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer, this is just yapping. Attrakt was seeking a transfer of copyright ownership, meaning commercial and licensing rights. The agency argued that the song should belong to them because the Givers were obligated to transfer copyright ownership of all works via the service contract. The judge rejected this because the contract did not actually specify which content this clause referred to. In layman's terms, this clause was just too broad and unclear. Even in America, judges are hesitant to enforce contract terms that are deemed vague or overreaching. The judge also acknowledged that the Givers took on the most risk when acquiring the song. They actually purchased the song from its original creator and participated in all associated negotiations. The Givers are party to all relevant contracts and were responsible for substantive actions and expenses. So basically, they put time, money, and effort into producing Cupid, despite no guarantee that the song would even be released, let alone successful. Attrakt did put money into promoting the song, but that's not the same thing as obtaining the rights to the song, which is also highlighted in the ruling. The Givers released a statement, hoping this ruling will help dissipate negative sentiments surrounding them. They say unilateral false claims are the reason for current perception, but they aim to continue correcting the record through litigation. Attrakt is still suing the Givers, Warner Music Korea, and the ex-50/50 members for alleged tampering, breach of contract, and slandering the company. So, what does this all mean? Well, in the words of Yoon Il-sung, contracts are no joke. Regardless of circumstances, facts are facts, and the Givers had the paperwork on their side. The court stated, contract interpretation should be based on the text of the contract, not on the intent behind it. And by this standard, the Givers' ownership of the song was clear as day. Attrakt did try to leverage the copyright transfer clause in their service contract, but lack of clear-cut boundaries made it unenforceable. The judge is basically asking what copyrighted works should be transferred to you under this service contract. The actual text did not specify, and a court can't go off of pure intent. Therefore, all claims dismissed. Court rulings have to be precise and repeatable because they set precedent. That is why vague contract terms, vague claims, and vague allegations are non-starters. Judges need something to point to for future cases, and you can't do that without solid grounds. It's similar to when I analysed the injunction ruling for NewJeans and Adore. The court was basically asking NewJeans to give them something tangible to go on, because a general loss of trust is not a solid precedent. Some Korean law professionals I cited beforehand basically said NewJeans had a chance if they could prove even a single instance of breach on Adore's part. The court system there is really not as bad as it seems, especially at the injunction stage. If you give a judge something clear-cut they can work with, then they're already halfway to siding with you a lot of time. But NewJeans just didn't do that. Attrakt failed to do this because their contract clause was a non-starter. For a hypothetical example, let's say the contract stated that the Givers must transfer ownership of everything created under their service contract with the agency. Everything is broad enough to include basically anything, like if one of the Givers built a house while under contract, vague language like that could lead to Attrakt claiming that house. Obviously, the intention of the clause was for music-related works, but like the judge said, the court can't rule on intention. You have to put it all in writing or it's unenforceable, and a judge will toss it out. All in all, contract terms have to be clear, and contract termination terms also have to be clear. Contracts are the lifeblood of business, and business is the lifeblood of economy, so courts don't play around with this kind of stuff. One wrong ruling could destabilize entire industries. So, yeah, I think the Givers deserve to win based simply on the facts, not my personal feelings. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.